I'm Andrew.
And I'm Alisa.
And you're watching
Designing Workflows. Marker.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew. I'm a success manager here at Drip.
And I'm Alisa. I'm a product manager.
As a success manager here, I get to work with customers every day, helping them understand how to use Drip and how to execute e-commerce strategies within the tool.
Yeah, as a product manager, I get to talk to a lot of customers. I work with our success managers and pretty much everyone internally, and we work together to create an awesome product roadmap so that we can give our customers the best value.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
So awesome.
So, Alisa, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about abandoned cart workflows.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
want to talk about these because I get abandoned cart emails all the time. So I know it's something that's completely table stakes for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So you must be doing a lot of online shopping if
do.
you're getting these all the time.
I do a lot of online shopping, yes.
Okay. We're gonna dive into that a little bit later. So yeah, you and so many other people out there abandon their carts. In fact, did you know that 75% of carts are abandoned?
Really?
Yeah.
That seems really high. What are the most common reasons why people abandon their cart?
I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, I think the number one reason is probably price.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they'd be forgetting, right? You get distracted and go off and do something else. Not understanding your return policy, right?
Interesting.
Right? And then not knowing what kind of customer support they're actually going to get after they purchase.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are there some things that you do for each of those different reasons why people abandon their cart?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just go through them. So price, right? If you got an email that had a 10% discount, would you be more likely to purchase?
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
So we don't want to train you as a consumer to only search for discounts, but it really can be helpful in getting you over the hump, right?
It is very helpful.
Yeah, right. So what else? Forgetting. Okay, so let's say you got an email and it included the products and a description of the things that were in your cart.
Yep.
Would that make you a little bit more interested in purchasing?
Totally. I get emails and it has the image of the products and I'm like, oh, yeah, that product is awesome. And it makes me go right back to the site.
Totally. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be effective, right?
Yep.
Okay, return policy. Right. So let's say you've got some event that you are going to, and you're buying shoes or something like that, and it turns out you didn't wear them because it rained, and but you didn't buy them because you didn't know exactly what the weather was, and so
and I didn't know if I could send them back.
Yeah, exactly right. So outlining the return policy in those emails can be really helpful.
Oh, okay, cool.
The last one, customer support. So you might be really sort of apprehensive about making a purchase if you don't know what kind of support you're gonna get from the company, right? So outlining that there's live chat support or email support or the phone number to the CEO, right? That can be really helpful information to include in those emails.
Yeah, I feel like support is everywhere now. Really great support is on so many e-commerce sites. So just knowing that people will be there if there's issues, that's so helpful.
Totally.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some other things to consider when you're building out these abandoned cart emails or your strategy. Personalization. So using someone's first name, that can be really important, right?
I love that.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Always gets me.
And then urgency. Right. So thinking about, including in your subject line, hurry, your cart's about to abandon, or don't miss out on these great deals on the products that you have in your cart.
Push.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because that urgency, it's an old marketing technique because it works. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. So what are some other things that are important and effective in an abandoned cart strategy?
So glad you asked. The cadence of how you connect with people during their abandonment period is really important. So thinking about the timing and how you space out your engagements is really important. So you might connect with somebody immediately, maybe an hour after they abandon their cart. And then you might think about contacting them again the next day or even a few days later.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And do you usually recommend just one email, maybe the next day, or do you recommend a string of emails? What's kind of the the best thing to do?
Yeah, really good question. So it's actually been shown that abandoned cart strategies that have 3 or more emails are over 60% more likely to convert.
Really?
So it's really, really important to have multiple engagements, whether it's email, Facebook, or other channels.
Right. Okay, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
It keeps the company, I guess, like top of mind. You keep getting reminded about those products that you really loved because you added them to your cart.
Yep.
It all makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
why I buy so many things online. It's all coming together.
Yeah. So, Alisa, we've been talking about the customer journey sort of at a theoretical level.
Right.
And that's really, really important, always to keep that in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it might be helpful if we ground it a little bit in an actual experience that one of us has had recently.
Totally.
Have you abandoned a cart recently with all of your shopping that you do?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
In fact, just yesterday, I abandoned a cart. I was actually on this like dog toy store because I am buying my fiance a puppy.
Oh my gosh, you're the best fiance ever.
I really am a great fiance. I know. I tell him that every day. So yeah, I was adding a bunch of stuff to my cart, and it's a surprise puppy too. Like my fiance can't know about this at all. So I was adding these things to my cart. I was almost done with the checkout. I'd put in my name, my email address. I was about to put in my credit card information.
Okay.
And then guess what happens?
What?
My fiance comes home.
Of course.
Yeah. So I had to close my laptop and like shove my laptop away. And I completely forgot about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then today I got like an awesome email with the list of all the products that were in my cart. It had my name on it. And it brought it right back to mind. And I'm planning to make that purchase probably today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask, was this one of our customers?
Of course it was one of our customers.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm very glad.
Yeah. So I just went through like the consumer journey with abandoned cart. Can you walk me through like what a marketer is actually doing when they're setting up abandoned cart strategies?
Yeah, so it might be really tempting for the marketer to jump right into drip, but I always say, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Go to the whiteboard, draw it out so that
Okay.
you know exactly what you're gonna build when you hop into drip.
Cool.
Let's do that, okay?
Nice.
Cool. Hey, look, some paper. Let's use it.
Oh, what a crazy just coincidence that there's paper and markers right in front of us. So what is like the first thing you tell marketers to do when they want to set up their abandoned cart strategy?
Yeah, so the most important thing when you're starting off with the workflow is the trigger.
Okay.
Because the trigger is going to let you know the segment of people that you're actually acting upon when they complete a certain behavior.
Right. So it's the behavior that gets them into this series in the first place.
Absolutely.
So in my case, it was when I abandoned a checkout that would have gotten me into the workflow.
Right, exactly. Because you had reached that checkout page, you put your email address in, and you'd be fired into this workflow.
Cool. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. What is the next thing you tell people to set up?
Yeah, the next thing that you want to set up is your goal, right?
Okay.
Because as a marketer, you want to know the goal that you're actually driving your consumers towards, right?
Right, makes sense.
Yep, so we'll put a goal right here.
Okay.
So what would the goal be for an abandoned cart?
That I place an order,
Absolutely.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So I will add that here at the end.
Cool. And let's make it really exciting, okay?
Okay, we'll make it really exciting.
Yeah, perfect. Love it.
Some stars.
Yeah.
maybe?
I mean, at least 2 stars. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay, great.
That's awesome. All right, so when you're shopping, right, you might abandon you might create a checkout, right? But you actually might be in the process of just completing your purchase, so we don't want to like send you an email right away.
Yeah,
right?
that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's actually add a delay in.
Okay.
Okay. So let's give it an hour.
All right, perfect. Is that what you usually recommend, like 60 minutes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then after that delay, we actually want to start communicating with you and engaging, right?
Okay.
So after this, let's do an email.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And as we know, abandoned cart strategies that have more emails actually convert a lot better.
Okay.
So let's actually send 3 emails here.
Okay.
Okay.
And do we want a delay in between each of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't want them to fire off like in rapid succession, right?
So I'm just gonna do like something like this times 3.
Yeah,
Is that
perfect.
okay?
Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
Yep. Okay, cool. So there'll be a couple other things that we would add when we dive into drip, but this is like a pretty good representation of what we're gonna start with. Okay.
All right. So now let's dive into drip.
Let's do it.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna take this computer.
All right. Cool.
All right. So right now I'm on our workflows page. I'm going to create a new workflow and call it abandoned cart. All right, so when I create a workflow, this is always going to be the default for any blank workflow that you create. The first thing you mentioned that you always do is define the trigger. So it's the behavior that gets people into the workflow. So I'm going to go into here and click. And this is where I define the behavior that gets people into the workflow. The behavior actually doesn't happen in drip. When someone abandons checkout, that behavior actually takes place in Shopify.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is select Shopify in this dropdown. And then in choosing a trigger, I'm going to do checkout created.
Okay, cool.
Great. And then this trigger should apply to everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Nice. Are there any other ways that people should get into this abandoned checkout series?
Yeah, so not only should creating a checkout fire them into this, updating a checkout should also fire into this.
Cool. That makes total sense. So I'm going to add a second trigger here.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the same thing as the first one. I'm going to add Shopify here on the left. And then do checkout updated.
Perfect. And yeah, it should apply to everyone still.
Awesome. Nice. So we did the first thing.
Cool.
Next thing, you said that you typically recommend that people define the goal of a workflow, right?
Yep.
So for this one, the goal is pretty straightforward. It's placed in order. That's what you want people to do.
Yeah, we want them to create that order.
Yeah. So you select goal here.
Okay.
And same thing with trigger. You have to think where this behavior is actually taking place. So when someone places an order, it's actually happening on the Shopify site. It's not happening within drip. So just like the trigger, I want to enter Shopify in this dropdown. And I'm going to select order created. And then same with the trigger, this probably applies to everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Great. We are cruising through this. Amazing.
It's so easy, Alisa.
It's so easy. So we created the trigger, we created the goal. Next thing was, after the trigger, we wanted a delay there so that people don't get the email right when they're creating their checkout. So right after the triggers, I'm going to add a delay. And you recommended like 60 minutes,
yeah,
right?
60 minutes works. Perfect.
Okay. Wait, 1 hour. Sweet. And then the next piece was to send that email.
Exactly.
Awesome. So after the delay, I'm going to add an action.
Okay.
And first you have to think, who is going to perform this action? Because it's a drip that's actually going to be sending the email, we want to make sure that drip is in this left-hand drop down. And then in the right, I'm going to say send a one-off email.
Perfect.
Now, we have different ways to create emails within Drip. What do you think? Do you usually recommend our visual builder or a text builder?
Yeah, for these abandoned cart emails, 100% do the visual builder.
Cool.
Yeah, because we want to put all those great product images in.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so now the name.
Yeah, so for this one, let's create some urgency and reference that they forgot something. So how about hurry now, don't forget about your cart.
All right, great. Then typically we would go into here and edit our email, create something beautiful.
Throw in some like dynamic product blocks, things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Cool.
And once we're done with that, we can update the action. And we've kind of got a very basic abandoned cart series set up. right?
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you typically recommend 3 emails.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So really what we're going to do is another 2 layers of delay email.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to quick add other delays. How long do you typically recommend for the?
Let's do a 1 day delay for the
Okay.
next one. Yeah, we can just leave it right like that.
1 day delay. And then let's send another email. This will really get them to want to buy that product, right?
It's gonna get them closer.
It works for me.
Yeah, we can do another visual one.
All right.
How about for this one, let's reference the amazing customer support and the return policy.
Cool.
So how about...
Don't stress, our return policy is awesome.
Sure, that works.
Probably something a little bit better typically, but
For those at home,
don't stress.
you're the professional marketer, so we'll let you make that call, okay?
We've got a great return policy. I don't know. It's straightforward. So now we want to add 1 more delay.
Absolutely.
Cool. So I'll select this here. And then how long should this delay be?
Yeah, let's do a 2-day delay here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why should this one be longer?
Yeah, so we don't want to inundate anybody, right? We don't want
Right.
to be annoying or sound really desperate.
Right.
It's sort of like if you were in a brick and mortar shop, shopping for these dog toys, right?
Right,
Like you
yeah.
wouldn't want a sales rep like next to you the whole time saying,
Right.
"Are you gonna buy it? Are you gonna
Yep.
buy it? You know, have you decided yet?"
I
And so
hate
what we're
that,
trying
yeah.
to do now is say like, hey, if you've been in the store for like 4 hours and you still haven't bought, like it actually might be helpful if that sales rep came along and said, hey, you know what,
Right.
have you made a decision yet? And so that's what
Totally
we're trying to
makes
do here.
sense. Cool. Then we'll just want to add 1 more email here.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. So I'll add another action. I'll do send 1 off email. All right. What is the name of this email going to be?
So we're really like trying to convert them at this point, right? Like you said earlier, discount is actually like pretty helpful,
They work
right?
so well.
So let's do a special offer just for you.
Okay. Great. I love that.
Perfect.
All right. So we'll update that action.
So let's talk about someone flowing through this workflow.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let me see if I got this right. So they trigger in, they wait an hour, get an email.
Yep.
Wait 1 day, get an email. Wait 2 days, get the final email.
Yep.
Now, what happens if they make a purchase in between while they're in one of those delays?
Great question. So the second thing we did was create a goal in this workflow. And the goal was an order to be created in Shopify. So if at any point someone is in this workflow and they make a purchase, they'll immediately be pulled down to this goal here, and then they'll exit the workflow.
So they won't receive any of those other emails.
Right. As soon as they make that purchase, they'll be pulled down and they won't receive anything else.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Let's say they get that 3rd email here down at the bottom. Will they then accomplish the goal or exit? What's going to happen to somebody right there?
That's a really great call out. So we'll actually want to add an exit here underneath the email.
Okay.
Because if they never create an order in Shopify, they'll never be pulled down to that goal.
So they'll always just like
They'll
be
kind
stuck
of-
in this workflow.
They'll kind of be stuck there,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So we'll want to create an exit here for those people who receive all those emails and just don't make that purchase.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we just created our awesome abandoned cart workflow.
Sweet.
Next thing we do is start the workflow.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. And then once we start it, people can start flowing into it. We'll probably wait a couple days, but then after a couple days of people flowing in, you can go to the dashboard. And you can start to see like how many orders are coming from your workflow, which emails are getting the most clicks and opens and things like that. So you can really start to see how this strategy is bringing in revenue for your company, which is
love
awesome.
that. That's really cool. So
Yeah.
whenever I'm working with customers, I say, you got to give it some time.
Yeah.
Right. So take a
Totally.
look after a day or two to see how things are working, but don't freak out if you're not getting conversions after those first couple
Right, it
days.
takes a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to give it a week, a couple weeks, just to see how things are actually rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So what else are we gonna check out on this dashboard here?
Yeah, so you can look at pretty much anything. You can see how much revenue you're getting from this on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
You can see how many people are going through the workflow, and you can see stats on like what your opens are like and what your clicks are like for each of the emails within your workflow.
Perfect. Really valuable information.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so now we've got all this data. I get questions a lot about optimization and making sure that everything is working as best as it can. And I recommend split tests a lot. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I'm actually going to switch over. We have an awesome shareable workflow that anyone can install. And in this shareable workflow, there's actually a split test in it.
Cool.
This is our Shopify abandoned cart shareable workflow. You'll see that the triggers are the same. There's still a 60-minute delay, but right after that, there's that split test.
Sweet.
So the way that our split tests work is first, it's not just email against email. You can test entire strategies against other strategies to see which is converting the most for you, which is getting you the most revenue or most page visits. So it's a really cool tool that we use for optimization.
Nice.
The way that it works is as people enter into the split test randomly assigns that person a path. So 5 minutes in, the paths may not be equal, but after enough time, they're basically evenly spread out.
Okay.
So people will enter into the workflow. In this specific example, we're testing sending people an email versus sending people an email and then adding them to a Facebook custom audience.
Okay, right on.
So this side is the pure email side. And then on the right here, you can see that an email is sent, the person is added to a Facebook custom audience, and then after a day, that person is removed from the audience. So after a bit of time of testing this out, you can actually see if adding someone to a Facebook custom audience in addition to sending them that email really helps with conversion.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
All right, so are we stuck with just having like one email in here, or because I know we talked about having multiple emails, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this shareable workflow, it is just testing one email.
Okay.
We totally recommend adding 3, as you said, it converts a lot better. So this is just a starting point for you. It's a great workflow, so you can totally start with it with just one email, but you always have the option to add more.
Okay, and I like starting out like this because I can get it live really quickly, right?
Totally.
And then I can always add more in later.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, and with the split test, once you can see that one path is doing a lot better than the others, you can click into the split test and define the winning path.
Nice.
So then after that, everyone who flows into that split test will only go through the winning path.
I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Alisa, what happens when someone places an order if they're in this workflow?
Totally. So we have the exact same goal in this shareable workflow that we did in the workflow we created.
Okay.
So if I go down, you can see that the same goal is here, order created via Shopify. As soon as someone creates an order in Shopify, they'll be pulled down to that goal.
Perfect.
One thing I do want to mention is we have a remove person from Facebook custom audience here. That is because up here in the split test, you're adding someone to a Facebook custom audience, and then you're sending them to a delay. Now, if they make an order while they're in this delay, they'll be pulled down to this placed an order goal without being removed from the Facebook custom audience. So we just want to make sure that they're definitely removed from it.
Okay.
At the end of this workflow.
Oh, that makes sense. Like if they actually convert, you don't want to keep paying Facebook to advertise to them, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
We've also got this exit down here, and that's actually something that I recommend to people.
Okay.
Because what it does is it prevents somebody from getting an abandoned cart within a day of actually making a purchase. Right? Like if you if you convert, like you're not necessarily looking for another email the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes total sense.
Cool.
Yeah, so aside from that, this is kind of just a different version of abandoned cart, but as soon as you install it, you can kind of tweak it as you'd like.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So Andrew, as I mentioned, this was a shareable workflow, and you can find a ton of different shareable workflows on our Drip shareable workflow page. There's a lot for different e-commerce providers, and there's just a lot of really cool strategies there, and you can install them really easily.
Cool, right on. So I don't even have to build stuff from scratch. I can just plug and play.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Looking back and thinking about like these recommendations that we're making, like, so for everyone out there, you might have abandoned cart emails that you can send from your order management system, right? But we recommend that you bring all of those over to Drip for a number of different reasons. The first is customization. You're going to be able to customize your emails with your template and logo and images that you want, and it's just going to be a better experience for your customers. Second, you're going to be able to send multiple emails. So we're recommending 2 or 3 emails to go out because it drives conversions, right? The third thing is that you can do Facebook retargeting and along with all sorts of other strategies, right? And you're just not going to be able to do that with your order management system. A couple other things. Building your cart abandonment strategy within Drip gives you a great comprehensive view of how that strategy is working, and you can use those dashboards like we talked about, right? And then of course you can use that data to optimize it and make it even better. The third reason is that you're going to get a fuller picture of your customer and the experience that they're really having with your brand. And it's really important to have all of that housed in Drip.
So here at Drip, we try to make our workflows as easy as possible for you so that you can easily implement really great and strategic workflows to really convert the most and get the most revenue for your company. But if there's ever questions that you have, we have a great support team that is here for you and will help answer any questions you may have as you're building out your workflows.
Alisa, I've had a lot of fun. Thanks for working through this together. I think we end all of our episodes here with dancing. So let's just break it down.